My mum had she'd had cancer for 2.5 years. At 4 weeks after I had my first, she was in hospital, and then she was on a syringe driver, and then she was unconscious, and we brought her home. So we had six days of her at home where she wasn't in a responsive manner at all, which was really hard, because it was like Groundhog Day every day. You knew it was going to happen, but you just didn't know when. I mean, we're all healthcare professionals, so we all kind of like, you get up each morning, and it was lovely that she was still there. But on the flip side, it wasn't. It was I'm going through this grief every day, and feeding throughout that, I really struggled with it, because I felt I had a little person that kept shouting and screaming at me, and I wanted to be with my mum, but I needed to be with him as well. And my husband did take him off, and he would have formula, he would have bottle. He had what he needed at that point, what he needed to have, for both of us, really. But it was still predominantly breastfeeding. I felt so torn between the two, and I had massive anxiety at the time, and everything just feels, when I look back now, everything just feels really kind of dreamlike. I'm not entirely sure how we got through that. It was divided between both of them, and nobody kind of had my full attention, and yeah, it did cause a lot of kind of like guilt in that grief period, really. That did kind of like spur me on to get through the next few months, really. Well, the next few weeks, definitely. You know, everyone always says, oh, when does it stop hurting? When does, you know, it get a bit easier? I actually remember it getting easier, and it was at week 9, and I don't even know what happened. I just remember it being that point where it just seemed different. It just seemed like it all kind of fitted together a little bit more. This one has been an absolutely different experience, and I've loved every minute of it. And again, I get that guilt that I didn't have that with my first. It was like, come on, I'll do it, but I'm not enjoying it as such. Not till the later stages of it, anyway. Whereas with this one, it feels lovely to be able to do that. It still feels lovely breastfeeding my older one, to be honest, but it's just an absolute experience that I missed out on because of my own anxieties, my own thoughts, and everything else that was going on at the time. So it's almost like a little second chance to do it again whilst having that experience. I think because I'm a nurse myself, I know, you know, you're promoting best practice. I was like, I'll do it. I'll give it a go. So I did the normal, you know, I'll do it for a little bit. I'll do it a little bit longer. I'll do it till he's 6 months. I'll do it till I go back to work. And here I am 3.5 years later, feeding 2. But it is, as you say, the path of least resistance. I don't entirely know how to parent without boob. Take my hat off to people that bottle feed. I'm not organised enough to do so. Leaving the house with stuff has not been one of my strong points. I don't even know how to make a bottle. And when he's having like a tantrum on the floor in the middle of somewhere, that's what I go to. That's my go-to parenting tool, because it works. It settles him down. It brings him back. But yeah, so I'm hats off to those that aren't feeding, because I just feel that, you know, they must have so many other kind of like little expert things, and I just have boob. I don't know what I'm going to do when I haven't got that, to be honest. He lost like 11% weight, me first. They were like, right, you need to look at doing top ups, you need to do this, you need to do, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this means at all. And a part of it was definitely because I was in a massive heightened state of like hormones and anxiety, and I didn't have a clue. But I just don't think anything was explained wonderfully either, to be honest. It took the local breastfeeding support to come out for anything to actually make any sense at all. And they were absolutely fantastic. I still credit my breastfeeding down to this one woman that came out, and she's fabulous. And if you speak to anybody locally, they will tell you exactly the same. It's always the same person. Sarah Atherton with Koala Northwest. I mean, bear in mind, she's coming to my house and I'm like in floods of tears. I don't know what's happening. That down to earth, speaking to you like a relative maybe, or like a friend or something. She's just like, right, let's sort this out. Let me have a little look. Let's do, like somebody who you've known for a long time would kind of be.
Yeah.
And I think that's made such a difference. And that's, I suppose, what we don't have necessarily in this country in terms of support, is it? I worked in an A&E department, so you're always on a level of anxiety. Quite liked running like that. And then the boys are both IVF, so we had all the anxiety over all that. While I was pregnant, I couldn't go to a scan and it all just be normal. There had to be something came up every time, and I was like, can we not just have one where we come out and go, oh, wasn't it lovely to see the baby, or everything's nice? No. I actually got support with my anxiety at the beginning of the pandemic because I think it just kind of tipped me over the edge, and I was suffering massive panic attacks at the thought of going into work. And unfortunately wasn't working in an A&E environment then, because I think I just would have lost it really. And so I ended up having being prescribed medication, which I then felt dreadful that I hadn't done it years ago, because I suddenly enjoyed things so much more. All that time I was so worried, I was so stressed about, my eldest, and I felt such a failure, and everything around me was kind of falling to bits. But I didn't want to be labelled as having a mental health issue at that time with a baby. Now I'm much more relaxed, and they feed off that, don't they? I think it's been difficult because of lockdown and that. Everything's been at home. I remember going out and feeding my eldest for the first time following on from lockdown. I thought, he's 2 years older nearly. And then that was a whole different thing. I'm quite brash, really. I'll feed anywhere. He used to insist on being fed on the bus every time we went on the bus. You thinking, this is not safe. But he was happy. People are looking. I'm not bothered.